This is a tool for the use of a Great Plains slot machine. And basically we'll just start off here by an overview. The tool rests on a platform of MDF material, which you see right here. And that's a piece of wood 1 inch by 14 by 10. And around it we have the cradle, which is made out of 1/2 inch stock poplar. The cradle has the securing brackets on top. There are 2 of those. And the cradle also consists of a plastic shim that we see right here. And then the MDF board has layered on top of it a piece of red oak material, which is 1/2 inch stock, and it is 3.5 inches wide by the width of the MDF board. And on top of the red oak board we have other little things here that I've used in this project. There's a small level that we'll get to later, and then there are some metal shims that may or may not be required as you see fit. And then here's some plywood shims that are cut and layered on top of the oak board as you cut various stock. At the bottom of the MDF board we have some shelf lining material, which is, you get an example right there, which is attached by a spray adhesive. What this does is it secures the MDF board to your surface. The first thing you want to do with the MDF board, whatever dimensions you have, is draw a line down the center of the board, which you will use to align your cradle. There are a couple of 3/16 plywood shims that you will cut as required to fit the tool inside the cradle. And over here you see a diagram that I have produced to show what type of add-on shims that you need to slot certain types of stock. Here we have a view of the tool placed inside the cradle. And what you're going to see is that the blade, the center of the blade, follows the center line of what we did on the MDF board. The cradle is built around that position by 1/2 inch stock on both sides of it. You're going to have this side and this side of stock. And this is where you want to be careful so that it is fairly close but not so tight that you can't remove it easily. But it has to be fairly close and aligned correctly. So the stock is put in place and glued with a regular wood glue, and there's a piece of stock behind the head which holds it from moving in that direction. 2 brackets are placed on the cradle, and what this will do will be to secure the tool in the cradle so it doesn't move around. The object of this tool is to keep the tool stationary, and one moves the stock up and down accordingly to what you want to slot. The brackets are made out of 1/2 inch poplar stock as well. They have wood screws, number 4 an inch, that will attach it to the cradle. And I used blind nuts and 6/32 hardware to complete the brackets. You'll notice that the brackets, the blind nuts, are secured with a regular nut that I use CA glue to hold them in place. So when you screw the screw down, it will apply pressure to the tool to hold it in place. The 6/32 blind nuts are placed, so there are 2 of them in the front and 1 in the back, centered over there. The critical part of this project is to position a plastic shim near the head area, and you have to be careful so that when you secure the shim and cut off it such that it is higher than necessary, and you're going to sand or file it down such that it is exactly level with the surface here. To level my tool, I made sure that the base where it was positioned at was leveled. This would not be correct. It's not entirely correctly leveled, but I leveled the MDF board so it was as close as possible with my small little level. right here, and then from there I position the tool in the cradle. Once the tool is in place and the level is placed over the blade, notice the alignment of the bubble on the level. Carefully remove the material from the plastic shim until the tool is correctly aligned. Once the tool is correctly aligned, you can secure it with the securing brackets, as you'll see there. Turn the 6/32 screws down to snug up to the tool, and that should secure your tool. One of the 3/16 plywood shims I have is placed on the front head of the tool, and that's just to provide a more stable, secure point. The other 3/16 plywood shim is applied to the on-off switch so that it just is able to turn it on by placing the shim between the cradle and the trigger. The reason for that is I have a foot-operated switch. I have a number of plywood shims that I can add to the red oak base to provide the capability to slot different size stock. I have 1/4 inch, 3/16, 1/8, and 1/16 plywood. You notice they're secured by three wood screws. These would be number 4 by 1 inch with a recessed head. If for some reason that doesn't give you a proper cut, I purchased some brass stock in various thicknesses. This one here being 0.032, which is approximately 1/32. You can layer those under the plywood shim if you need to. I also purchased another brass shim, the 1/2 inch by a foot long, which is 0.016, which is approximately 1/64 of an inch if you need to have closer material to shim it up. I have another piece of stock that is 0.025, and I have as yet never used these shims, but I have them if I need them. The last thing you will want to do will be to attach your liner, your shelf liner, on the bottom of the MDF board. I used a spray adhesive and coated the bottom of the board, and took a piece of shelf liner slightly larger than the MDF board and set it over the shelf liner and let it dry, and then I took a razor blade and just cut it off. That pretty much completes the little tool I use with my Great Plains slot machine.